Hey, before I start part two, I just wanted to point something out here. I realized during the editing process where the part where I said it's Wednesday, February 8th, it actually says Thursday, and I was trying to figure out why that was, and I realized I made an error in my original array. I go from Sunday, and I skip Wednesday, and I go back to Sunday again, and I already had it recorded, so I don't want to go back and fix it now. I will fix it, but I just want to point out that I don't have a Wednesday in there, so that's why it's showing Thursday. That's a mistake in my array. If I fix my array, that would fix that. But as you're watching the video, if you're wondering why is he saying Wednesday and it says Thursday, that's the reason. So I just want to point that out before you email me and let me know about it. So we're going to move on to part two right now.
And welcome back to part two of ex3 function date. What we did in the first half was basically, it didn't take that long. We basically just put our statement that we originally had to show the date, we put it inside a function, and that function was basically initiated or triggered from a button. What we did to make the full date string disappear is we just made an empty string. Now we're going to try something a little bit different this time around. What we're going to do is we're going to use some CSS. Now if you're not familiar with CSS, they show a little bit here, and I'll help you out a little bit, but scrolling down from the JS functions, there's JS DOM, which is the document object model, which you can check out a little more. It's basically your HTML page. It's basically just finding things on your HTML page, and you could also use it basically to write CSS. We can write CSS, or we can write CSS with JavaScript, and the way it does it, if we scroll down here, here's like a document get element by ID, and then it's saying .style.property equals new style. So here's an example. .style.color equals blue. That would change something blue. And what we're going to do to hide something, we're going to use something called .style.display and use none. And then the opposite of none is either going to be block or inline. In this case, it'll be block. So if that doesn't make any sense, I'll just kind of show you here. So something in lieu of doing this is we're going to basically backspace, and this is under the hide one, and we're going to do style. That basically indicates to JavaScript that you're using a CSS style, just like a style tag that you would put in HTML. So we're going to do style, and we're going to use display, which is basically the attribute or the property, I guess it's called. It's called attribute in HTML. It's called the property. So it's the display property. We're using a CSS style display property, and what we're going to do is we're going to say it's going to equal to none. That's basically something where it almost kind of hides it. It's going to be none, and we'll see if this works first. So I'll run my code again, and I'll show date, and I'll hit hide date, and it makes it go away. So that's good. So that works. .style.display equals none works. And now if I show date, here's a problem though. It doesn't come back, because now we basically, with that function, we said that particular display date string has a display of none. Now show date doesn't bring that back. It doesn't make it, it tells us to display the string, but it doesn't make that. We've now kind of overrode that display date string with a particular style that hides it. So it's still being hidden. No matter how much I hit this button, it is generating the text, but it's hidden. So how would I bring that back? And there's a little problem solving here that we'll kind of deal with, and we'll even get rid of this thing too. So we need to bring this back. Well, if we know this hides it, we're going to do this to bring it back. So I'm just going to copy this line, and I'm going to put it in the show date function. And basically, if it needs it, it'll use it. If not, it'll kind of ignore it. But instead of none, the opposite of none is going to be called block. Now we use, in CSS, there's display inline, display block, which is almost like a paragraph, or there's display none. And there's other types of displays. But block will basically make it show again, and none will make it hide. And again, it's talking about that kind of, that element that has an ID name. That's what it's actually hiding, and that's what it's using. That's what's getting that style applied to it. So now if I run code again and I show date, now it comes back, and it may not even be using that yet. If I hide it, it hides it. But if I show it now, it's kind of using this thing, the display block, to bring it back. So it shows it, it hides it. Now one thing I want to have is, I don't like the idea of having that hide date show up there. So I can do the same thing. Now that we kind of know how to do that, how to show and hide things, we could use this block and none to kind of show and hide using CSS. Actually, I don't want this hide date showing at all right now. So if I want to hide that, we already know how to hide it. We can use this. So I'm going to take this, and it doesn't even have to be in a function. I'm just going to take it and I'm going to put it over here. I'm going to put it outside of our function. So I'm just going to paste it right here where I have some empty area. You could put it right in front of it. You could put it wherever. Except it's not display date string. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hide the button. Now I got to go find hide the button. Now there's my button. Now in order to communicate with that button, I have to give it an ID. Because remember, we've been communicating from JavaScript with IDs. This button doesn't have an ID, but we can give it one. Let's just call it ID equals, I'll just call it hide button. I could just call it that. And I don't have to put a comma or anything, just a space will be fine. I'll say button ID equals hide button. And that's the name of the button. So when I get element by ID, I'm going to use that. So here's that statement that I had just copied. And I'm going to say hide button. And I'll make sure I type it exactly the way I had it if you make a mistake. So I'm going to say document get element by ID hide button, which is this button, and dot style dot display equals none. So without being in a function, it should just automatically display as none. It should automatically be hidden when I run this code, and it is. So it's when it's coming down and reading code, it's hiding that. When I do show date, now it's showing my date, except it's still hidden. So when do I want that button to now be shown? Well, I want that to be shown after I show date. I want a button to show down here that says hide date. Now what I can do is I can highlight this statement, because this is kind of the hide statement, and I'll copy it, and I'll put it here in the show date, because I basically want to have the hide button display after I hit the show date button. And it'll make more sense once we do it. Now instead of hiding it here, I want to show it. So I'm just going to put block, because that's what we've been doing to kind of show things. We've been using block. So I'll just save my update here and run the code. And now if I show date, it's doing a couple things. When I hit that button and it's running the on click, it's doing these three tasks. It's generating the full date string. And then it's also making sure that if its display is none, it's also making sure that the display is block. If the display is already block, it's going to ignore that. And then it's going to also display the hide button as a block. And that's what it did. Now when I do hide date, I click on that, and unfortunately it still shows hide date here, which is no problem because we already know how to do that. See what's happening here? Because we hid our button initially, we're not hiding our button after we click it. So when I do hide date, I want the hide button to go away because there's nothing to hide. Why have a hide date button here? Well, we already know that. We already have that code. See, not a lot of code to write here. Here we already have this hide button. Well, we can actually take this one. It's already done for us. This is the one that hides. And if you want to, it may not be a bad idea to start writing some comments, that say, just so you know your way around here. So it says hides button. That's all you need. Hides button. That's all you need to know. So I'm going to copy this. So whenever you go to hide the text, it's also going to hide the button because you won't need a hide button anymore. So I'm going to put that in there, and then I'm going to run the code again. And now what should happen is I show date, and now when I hide date, it should hide the date, and it should also hide the button. And it did. It hid the button, it hid the date. Now when I show date, it'll show the date as a block, and it'll show the hide button as a block. There it is. So now we have basically 3 possible tasks happening here on the show date function and 2 tasks happening on the hide date function. These both happen. Whenever I hit hide date, it's hiding the date and it's hiding the button because I don't need a hide button once it's hidden. I need a show button. So the show button's always there. We never lose the show button. We could get rid of it if we wanted to, but that's okay. There's nothing wrong with having it there. It doesn't look as bad up there, but we don't need a hide button when it's showing. Okay, so that's pretty much it. That's all we have to do. So just to review, we basically put a button that ran a show date function up here, and it has a label of show date. And then below the H2, we made sure we put it below the H2. which is the one that this H2, remember, is this line. What we did here is we did a hide button, and we gave this an ID. This one didn't need an ID because this button is staying here. This button is going to be hidden, so we had to give it an ID because that's the way we talk to HTML elements. In order to talk to that button and say, hey button, you have to hide yourself, it needs a special name. So that's how we identify it by hide button, and that's how we were able to go down here and use this get element by ID hide button and then give it a style that displays it as none. And we got the display string, we gave it a style that displays it as block. So when it was displaying as none, we could make it come back. This one is making display as none. This is making that thing disappear, that whole block disappear. What it's doing is making the whole block disappear. It's not making the type white or invisible or anything. It's making that block disappear. And then this is making the block appear. And then again, this is making the button display as none. The same, when it starts, it'll display as none. And then when it comes out, then we actually click the button to make it hide again. So that's everything we should have in here. So I'm just going to save my update. And then all you have to do is copy that URL and send it back to me if you get it to work. Let me know if you have any questions with it. And again, check out functions a little bit just to see how the functions work. And then check out the DOM a little bit. This is just the CSS part, but there's lots of things we can do with the DOM. We've already been doing some things already with HTML elements. So we've been doing some things already. So this might be one of the last things we do with JSDo. So once you get this saved, just send me the URL and we'll kind of move on from there.